A new super PAC attack ad in Florida is going after Mitt Romney's record on health care.
When Mitt Romney invented government-run health care, Romney advisors helped Barack Obama write the disastrous Obamacare.
We put them together in exchange, and the president's copying that idea. I'm glad to hear that.
I agree with Mitt Romney, who recently said he's proud of what he accomplished on health care.
Now, that ad, and to a large extent Gingrich's candidacy, is possible thanks to billionaire casino mogul Sheldon Adelson. In just the past month alone, he and his wife have pumped $10 million into the pro-Gingrich super PAC, Winning Our Future. MSNBC's Richard Louie is here with a closer look at Gingrich's benefactor, and you got to have a lot of money just to give $5 million, another $5 million, Richard.
And he does. Good morning to you, Chris. He's the son of an immigrant cab driver and the country's 8th wealthiest, according to Forbes, worth over $21 billion, just behind the Koch brothers. His big break, selling computer trade show Comdex, followed by high-end casinos worldwide, and lots of them. And Sheldon Adelson knows why he's successful.
I don't understand. First of all, I don't take comments from anybody unless they're rich. If you're so smart, why ain't you rich?
Oh, God.
Now,
so
if they're rich, then they must be smart.
Well, Gingrich and Adelson first met in 1995. Adelson was pushing a pro-Israel bill at the time. Gingrich ended up supporting that. Fast forward 10 years. Gingrich starts political group American Solutions. Adelson likes Gingrich and donates $7 million. While Gingrich starts to embrace a hawkish Israel tone. Then, 2 months ago.
There was no Palestine as a state. It's part of the Ottoman Empire. And I think that we've had an invented Palestinian people.
Well, Adelson praised that remark, say reports, a two-state solution not wanted by him. And it's an issue hovering around his meetings, high-powered ones, with Ehud Olmert and Shimon Peres. The tycoon gives tens of millions to pro-Israel groups and candidates, $5 million to a pro-Gingrich super PAC early January, and a second $5 million from his wife this week. Gingrich saying Adelson knows he's getting a pro-Israel candidate. Expect more money, Chris. In 2008, Adelson spent $30 million.
Wow. All right, Richard. Fascinating stuff. Wall Street Journal political reporter Alicia Mundy has been digging into the relationship between Gingrich and the Adelson family. Good morning.
Good morning.
So it isn't a stretch, you don't think, to say that without Sheldon Adelson, Newt Gingrich probably would be sitting on the sidelines watching the debate from his living room tonight.
Newt Gingrich basically has been kept on life support by Sheldon Adelson. Normally, in the course of a presidential election like this, you would see a candidate with weaknesses fall by the wayside, a candidate that had no money. And Newt, in 2011, was pulling together between him and his super PAC maybe 10 to 15% of Romney's haul. But the two gifts by Mr. Adelson, $10 million in 1 month that we are aware of. We've been told that there is much more to come for him and some of Mr. Adelson's friends, and that has kept Newt long enough alive to basically wait for the front runner to start to have problems.
Oh, do we know, Alicia, if it's not just him who's giving money, but he's, I don't want to call him a bundler, but he's getting some of his wealthy friends to give as well?
Well, we've heard that actually in the last couple of weeks, because this normally would have been a confidential gift because it went to a super PAC that doesn't have to disclose its donors yet. Normally this would have been confidential. Mr. Adelson prefers not to have his money giving known, but we've been told that some of Mr. Adelson's friends, now that he's let his name go out there, are starting to come on board to help Mr. Gingrich.
So $10 million just for starters in a month, and that's by any stretch, even when you're a billionaire, a significant amount of money. What does he get out of it? That's the question everybody wants to know. Is it all about Israel?
It's not all about Israel, although one of the things that Mr. Adelson wants, which Mr. Gingrich has said he will do if elected president, is a symbolic gesture that's very controversial, which is moving the United States Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And that's something Mr. Adelson wants very much. But he also opposes a two-state solution, which is current policy. So he would like to see more hardline efforts for Israel, a toughening of stance on Iran. But there's a second issue. Way back back in the 90s, Mr. Gingrich and Mr. Adelson had another thing in common. They both really dislike unions, and Mr. Adelson has done his best over the years, legally and legitimately, to keep unions from organizing around his casinos, to stop the culinary unions from doing well in his casinos, to stop card check. He supported legislation that would keep union donations under control and from being used for political purposes. So, and he has gotten advice on that over the years from Mr. Gingrich. So that's something else that Mr. Adelson would like to see if Mr. Gingrich becomes President Gingrich.
Is Gingrich his guy? I mean, obviously he is, but his only guy, or does he have plans, or has he donated significant amounts of money to other candidates?
We don't know if he's donated any significant amounts of money so far this year. He's supported some smaller races in Nevada in the past couple of years. The 2007-2008 cycle, he basically set up a very far right-wing group called Freedom's Watch that ended up with about $30 million in that cycle, and we've been told that the vast majority of that came from Mr. Adelson, and they supported a number of conservative candidates and conservative causes. Some of it backfired, though, because, for instance, in some of the southern states, religious conservatives don't like the gambling industry, and they went after and attacked Mr. Adelson's candidates on the grounds that they were tainted and they were connected to the the evil gambling industry.
Fascinating, and you've written really interesting stuff about this. Alicia Mundy, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.